I'm Janet, and today we're going to be doing a kind of messy squishing technique. I have a stencil in front of us. I have two ink pads that kind of coordinate color-wise. Now my stencil has paint on it, so if that bothers you, you're going to want to go with a clean stencil. But what I'm going to do is take my ink pad. This is one that will work with water, okay? So you're going to go directly over and just get that ink on the stencil. And the same with this one. And we're just doing a split application here. All right. And then we're going to spritz this with water. Grab my little mister here. So I'm going to spritz the top of this. Ooh. I may have to find another bottle. I think this will work. So I'm spritzing with water until it kind of pills up on top and almost to the point where it's runny, okay? All right, I think that's going to be good enough. Then I'm going to take my tag and put it face down, or, you know, you can go at an angle, however. I'm going to go at an angle. That will be fun. So face down, and then with another wipe on top, you're going to push to pick up all the extra moisture. All right, so we've got one below, one on top, and then we're going to lift up and see how that looks. So I have dried my tag, but I'm going to incorporate some of this darker color up at the top. So I'm going to take my ink pad and stamp it on my glass mat. It might be a little bit off camera, but I also have a puddle of water here. So what I'm going to do is get my brush wet and get my ink incorporated into that water. And I really want it very, very fluid, and load up my brush so then I can go in and do some splattering on top to incorporate that color. All right, and now I'm going to set that aside to dry. And just to show you, my paper towel looks really interesting too, so I think I might let this dry and see if there's something I can do with that purple flower look on there. All right, so this has dried, and if I turn it in the light, I'm hoping that you can see some of that purple reflection. I know I can see it. Hopefully the camera is picking some of that up. The blue, for some reason, we're not getting the iridescence up here. Probably it's just too washed out. That's okay. If you remember, I have a series on doing some stamping of ephemera on tissue paper for storage to be used later, and now we're going to use it. So I am going to go ahead and kind of cut this butterfly right in half so that we can place half on one side, half on the other, and then I have one more here to place in, and I want these to blend in and be somewhat like background on my tag. I really don't want them to be the main focal point, and so I am going to use some nori paste to attach it. You could use something like a Mod Podge or a white glue. I have some water sprayed out on my glass mat here just to get my finger a little damp. I'm going to go into the paste, spread it on here. Now remember, this ink that I have on here is water reactive, so I don't want to get it too terribly wet. But the tissue paper should kind of fade into the background, and those blue butterflies should then kind of blend in, stand out a little but not too much from the background. So I'm putting the paste under the butterfly and on top of the butterfly. And you can see how that blue ink just gets intensified. Ooh, I'm ripping my butterfly. Okay, let's push him back in place. So like I said, you have to be very careful with your tissue because they can just kind of fall apart on you, pull apart. So okay, I'm going to put the paste down. I'm going to put my butterfly on top. And then go in with a little bit more paste. Be a little bit more gentle with this guy. Pull out from the center maybe. Just because I would like him to stay whole. This one has really fallen apart, but that's okay because it's going to blend into the background. I'm going to just fold that little piece over and let that become part of the other side. All right, so now we have to let this dry as well. All right, to finish this one off, I had a little scrap from a piece left over that I had used. It looks like artist crayon here, but perfect size and perfect color to go along the bottom of my tag here. So I'm going to open up my nori paste again and just use it to attach this. And I'm just going right along the bottom. Now I have been away at the Craft Utopia Expo, which is for retailers buying art and craft supplies, mostly paper makers, paper crafters, I should say. And most of my stuff is still packed away. So I'm using what I have in front of me. If you remember, we also DIY'd some ribbon, and I'm going to use that because it coordinates here with my tag. And so I'm going to stick that up here at the top. Now my tag is still a little damp from the nori paste and water. I didn't want to do too much drying because the tissue paper was drying a little bit differently than the background, and it was beginning to lift up off the surface. So I really just want to let it do its thing and dry naturally. And then I went into my file of die cut words, and when I make stickers, I have leftover pieces, and I can show you what that looks like here in just a second. I'm working on getting my jar closed here. All right, so when I do stickers, there are like these border pieces left over, and I use these to die cut with, and that then becomes a sticker. And so here I have the word together in white. Now I leave it in white from the sticker paper. This one's really detailed, so I'm kind of hoping that I can pull this apart and get it to work. Yeah. I could go in and color this if I wanted to over the surface of the words, but I like the idea of using a sticker for my die cut words, and that just, I don't have to use any glue or anything. It's just, it just works. So there is our tag for this week.